5:30 p.m. In attendance today are board members Sarah Robinson and Kara Meeker, as well as Superintendent Kathleen Murphy. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Today we will have a relatively quick meeting, as we had to postpone from last weekend due to the snow day. And I think as a start, we'll discuss kind of an overview of what the committee has done in the past and accomplished. Last year was a little bit of a slower year than the year before. In 2021, though, we were a lot more present downtown by farmers market, doing some visibilities. I think there are certain challenges to just making sure that sustainability and board members attending regularly was always a challenge for that as well. But that is something that I would love to be able to do again this year, but maybe, as we discussed last year, only once a month rather than every week. Last year, we participated in market days as well in the multicultural festival. We have discussed perhaps not being as involved in market days in the future, just because of the financial versus kind of the overall communications, return on investments. Yeah, exactly. But multicultural festival overall, I thought was a very great avenue for the board this year. And
Did that have an entry fee?
No, it did not.
Okay.
No, it did not. It might have had like a $20 one, but
Compared to market days.
yes,
Which is several hundred.
And we have been trying to get more communications with the city, and we have the legislative breakfast that will be upcoming, and I know that's on the agenda as well. Kathleen, anything else you would like to add to those discussions?
No, I think you kind of hit on the things that we did last year.
Awesome. I know this is not on the agenda. I was hoping to hear about your experience testifying at the legislature, because I know you and our business administrator went.
Yeah, we were supporting the bill that was put forward by Representative Wallner on adequacy aid, school building aid, and just talking about the impact of what a building does to a community, and talking about the economic advantages, and listed a number of reasons why it was important for a community. It also, as we know, for instance, when we have new docs going to Concord Hospital, or new people coming into the community, they often call, want a tour. They see the schools. They see that the people in the community have made an investment in schools. So we talked about that with the members.
Mm-hmm.
Jack talked a little bit more about the economic thing, the bonding, and the kinds of strategies that he has relative to school building aid, as well as what the district will do. They invited us both back the next day to meet with Division 2, the finance for Division 2, because that's where this bill will go. I wasn't able to. I had a previous commitment, but Jack spent several hours with them, sharing some of his ideas about how we might fashion the bonds, and how the state might also look at the way they administer their annual monies that they set aside. In the case of over the biennium, $100 million, it's $50 million every year, but they have the tail and interest rates that they're still paying on. So, but he spent a lot of time with them, and I think from the results of it, at least from some, that there were a number of bills on building aid, that there was some discussion about maybe merging them and coming up with one that would address some of the needs. So we'll wait and see.
And did you feel like you received good questions to take from there?
Yeah, most of the questions were around the dollars, so that Jack got most of those questions. The reasons why communities build new schools and so forth were probably less for this particular group. This group is finance, so they were all looking for numbers but they're always receptive. They're always respectful, and we had plenty of time. We didn't feel rushed. I was a little disappointed because we were thinking that there were other districts that would join us that were on the list, because I did remind them that we were number 4, and they are well aware of it. So, but we'll continue to work with our other districts to try to create a collaborative effort.
Did they discuss any follow-up?
Not yet. They did present, like I said, to the Division 2 the next day. We haven't heard any more on that. We had an opportunity on Monday. I attended a workshop on legislative updates for the association, the Superintendent's Association, and Representative Ladd and Senator Ward were there to discuss their as chairs of those committees. So we heard from them, and of course, building aid came up especially in Representative Ladd's presentation. So we've been getting a good diet of it and trying to figure out what to do around that issue. So it was worth it, and we'll continue to go over and testify and participate in any way we can.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from committee members?
No, thank you for showing up. I really
You know,
appreciate
the board
it.
has always said, since I started here, that it was really important that we be visible
I agree.
in the community, engaged over at the legislature, and we have all made that effort. You know, Kim is out, John's out, certainly Jack and myself to be out in the community. Our new DEIJ has been out. He met with the Project Story. He's also met with our the Concord.
Change for Concord?
No, he's meeting with Change of Concord. We've already met with Fisto, had those conversations. Mr. Zink's committee, Tim Zink.
Oh, yeah, the
Chamber of
chamber.
Commerce.
Yeah.
I drew a
Tim
blank.
Zink, yes.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Chamber of Commerce. So he
Yeah.
actually met with them, and so
Awesome.
he's out. And I think every opportunity we have to be out there. That's why, like market days, farmers market, multicultural is really important for folks to see us out in the community.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Absolutely. So we have reviewing the committee's goals. Just make sure that everyone is on the same page about potential avenues for us to proceed this year. Obviously, this is a very exhaustive list, and we have limited days in the year and time. But would we say that these are still relatively where committee members would like to pursue?
Absolutely.
is there anything missing that you would like to add to it? You know, we can add to these
Yeah.
too, or the athletic field discussion will begin soon. So we'll bring you more information on some of these things. But if there's anything else that you think as a committee that we should look at, let us know. We can add it to the list.
Yeah, if anything comes up, I'll speak up. But
Yeah.
this
same.
looks very thorough.
So absolutely.
This is what you did at your retreat.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'll make sure these are on every agenda.
Oh, thank you.
Correct the committee's members on. Thank you.
I mean,
It's okay.
I'm on the list.
Yeah,
so.
Kara's made it. Kara's made it. So next step would be discussing what we would like to do this spring, visibility-wise. I know there's the winter market. We haven't previously been involved in as many winter-related visibilities or activities, but that does not mean
But we
that
can't.
we can't.
Right.
It's obviously just a matter of time and how intentionally we want to get involved with the community. Are there any thoughts? If we want to do that, if we don't want to do that?
I mean, I'm open to anything if we think it's I don't know, do we have a budget that we work with as far as
A
obtaining
superintendent
a
discretionary
table?
funds, of course.
Oh, yeah, excellent. And also just to clarify roles and responsibilities, if we're going to pursue being at a winter market, the chair, marvelous. Okay, just checking.
It's always enjoyable if other committee members participate, but it is not the obligation.
I'll support you.
Yeah. And I guess I was just curious. I have, as a community member, seen you, out with your table, which has been great. And now that I'm on the other side, I'm curious to know how things have been going for you and whoever else goes to these events, like, you know, what your takeaways are, how we can improve the use of that time, because you are volunteering your time and our money. And so
Good question.
I was wondering if we could just do a quick, like, or a
Yeah,
simple
absolutely.
review of the initiative, how it got started, if you feel like the outcomes have been similar to the goals, and how we could possibly tweak it.
So I think off of that question, since it's been a couple years since we did it, it's obviously a different time, somewhat, with the environment. There would be less questions about masks. There would be less questions about hybrid remote school. In 2021, we were getting a lot of questions about what was being taught in schools, which obviously could still be ongoing, but I don't anticipate it being as heightened as it was previously. But I would say, at the same time, I feel like that diffused a lot of somewhat of the polarization or kind of heightened emotions and tensions because of that. I think going back to what you were saying about time investment, I think there was a lot of time invested before, and I think it could be very exhausting. So I think that's a very accurate point about how to do it in a way that is sustainable. But all the material, there's nothing really we need to procure or purchase. We have tables, we have chairs, we have a tent already that we can use. The main expenditures would probably be the district materials that we would use, but those are going to be purchased regardless, or the name tag, of course. But that would be the main.
Okay.
Was that helpful?
It is helpful, yeah. I mean, I remember the first time I saw you, I was like, oh, what questions would I even ask him? You know, like as a parent, I was like, my kid's in the district, you know, and so that I'm sure a lot of people, it's possible, you know, walk by.
That was exactly most of the time. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? What are you selling?
Yeah.
That was a very common question about what was the district's role in kind of here. Why are you here? And I think that's also a good opportunity to educate the community on what the school board does, what opportunities are available within the district, why education is so important, and discuss upcoming bills and what they're interested in, because most of the time I think people just want to be heard.
I agree. I think any opportunity that we have to make ourselves available, whether people take the opportunity or not, I think even just seeing that the opportunity is there is just as crucial as engaging in conversation. So wherever we think it's valuable, I'm more than happy to show up and drag my children there with me.
So I think that could be a good idea for us to just think about for the next meeting is what places can we show up currently? In
What
the next
upcoming
couple
community
months?
events are
What upcoming
happening,
community
and
events are happening.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
where
call.
do we think it will be most effective, as well as where our presence would probably be most impactful.
yeah, it's a good call. Like we just had the winter celebration downtown this past
know.
weekend, and I went with my kids and it was lovely.
It was very nice. All the ice sculptures, did you see that?
No, I didn't see them.
They were
Oh
very-
yeah, they were great.
They were great.
But-
And they
Annual
were
event.
melting in the sun. I was like, oh, it was such
But
a
I
nice day.
so
think
things
events
like that.
would be very, very good.
Would it be, I mean, wise of us to create a relationship with like In Town Concord and just sort of
Yeah,
ping
I-
them and
I
say,
think-
hey, please consider us as like one of the vendors that you keep in touch with? Is that something, like,
I
I'm
think-
happy to do that.
Well, I
pursue
think that feeds in with a lot of our goals about developing community relations with various organizations. So I think that would be a great idea
Okay, cool. I'll reach out to In Town.
if the rest of the committee.
Does the rest of, should we vote on it?
I don't think we need a vote on it.
Okay.
But it's
Okay, let's formalize this.
That's
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great idea. I have a pretty close relationship with the folks at In Town as well.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
didn't you?
I mean,
So-
you did work
You
there.
did
I did work
previously
there,
work there.
so I'm happy to reach out to them.
Would you mind? Because
Yeah,
if you
of
have an
course.
established
I-
relationship,
yeah,
that
I
makes more
talk to them,
sense. Okay,
all
cool.
the time, so I'm happy to do that. And then just keeping in mind that a lot of these organizations are nonprofits and
Yeah.
have tight budgets as well. And so, you know, as we establish relationships, understanding that there might be barriers to, you know, discounts on
Oh, yeah,
vendorships and stuff. So maybe there's like a different way we could approach it rather than like us being a vendor, because we're not
Yeah,
selling
I don't.
anything. We're not giving away
I don't
anything.
think
Like,
we would
maybe
be a
could-
vendor. I
Yeah.
think we'd more so be a participant in
Yeah.
whatever.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think I used the wrong language. Just like put us on your listserv. Let us know what kind of events you're planning on having, and we'll let you know
See
if
how
we
we
have the
fit.
bandwidth. Yeah, if we
Sure.
fit into it.
Superintendent, you were gonna.
Well, I was just going to say, we also have a lot of materials that
Yeah.
we provide for you. So we
Great.
have some magnets that give the telephone numbers
Swag.
and all that for the different schools. We have materials from our Career and Technical Center, their annual reports and booklets. Today we did the final review of our strategic plan. Of course, you know our graphics art student has put the final touches on it, so it's going to go to print. Hopefully, we'll have it for the legislative breakfast too. They kind
Oh,
of
that would be
promised me
great.
that. We have the calendars. We have a trifold that just gives real brief information about the district. So we try to put together materials. So sometimes that will generate those conversations with folks, you know, and
Yeah.
and so that's helpful. Of course, the Runlet project has been a big topic.
Oh yeah.
And we brought materials about
Fact sheets
where
about
fact sheet. That's a good way to put it. So
where we are in the process.
there's
as well.
anything you need like that or you want, you just let us know and we
Yeah.
can put some things together.
Thank you very much.
I think that's a good segue into the legislative breakfast. I want to make sure to get everyone out here on time to make the concert.
Thank you.
We discussed a tentative schedule for the legislative breakfast. Do you have that? The relative agenda items, or
I did.
we're
So it's February 17th?
February 17th at
At Runlet.
7:30 a.m.
Yep.
at Runlet. I know Superintendent and I were trying to figure out relevant agenda items such as athletic fields, perhaps, building aid. Were there other kind of items that other committee members were hoping we would be able to discuss?
This is our representatives that are coming,
Right. Is
like
this-
for the
this is
district.
state level, right?
This
not
is
city
state level, city, and
Oh,
city.
Okay.
And we are co-running this with the city. Am I correct?
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay.
They were very eager to
Relationship building.
They were very eager to have a more active involvement this year.
Great.
Yeah,
I'm very happy to hear
wonderful.
that. I don't know. I feel like it's just going to be helpful to have that space to have open conversations with folks. I can't think of anything in particular outside of, I feel like my purview is I already follow everything that's happening, so I can't speak to what folks are going to want to necessarily talk about.
I think the city would like to talk about some of their projects,
Yeah.
so that it's informational. Yeah, I don't know. It could be that I-93 exchange or whatever they have plans. I mean, they have a lot of workforce housing projects.
Yes,
on
they
the-
do.
On
Which is
on-
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on their table. So, I think we should give the city an opportunity to talk about some of their city projects.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I think sustainability-wise, this is a great opportunity for both the city, school district, and our legislators to kind of come together to see what maybe net zero legislation is ongoing, net metering, and what opportunities there are for the city and school district to
Agreed.
get involved in that.
Maybe we could have our legislators give some kind of like 30,000 foot view of
I
what
think that would be
like privatization efforts are looking like, just from a public school point of
like
view.
adequacy aid and where kind
Exactly.
of they are with
Yeah.
funding.
Last year, we tried to give some time for Senator Whitley, but she wasn't able to make it. She had a conflict. I'm hoping she's already got back to us and told us she's going to be there.
That's
Hopefully
great,
both Senator
yeah.
Whitley and myself will be there this year.
Yes, Jonathan
You
was
didn't
sick
make it
last
last-
year.
Oh, no.
Sick.
I was.
Oh,
And
sorry.
so, but I would like to be able to give the legislators some time, maybe to talk a little bit about
I
some
think that would be great.
really important legislation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And and we made sure to schedule this so it's after the governor's budget
good
as
call.
well. So I think obviously that will be a topic of discussion about what the line by line items are and what the needs of the district and city are.
I think it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad we're doing this.
Right, we'll have our food service department prepare breakfast, which is always nice, feed them and they will come, right?
Actually, that's a good topic of discussion too.
Why? You want me to tell you what we're having?
No, I was gonna
Real liver strawberry
so
milk.
facetious.
Yes.
The reimbursements for food and the importance of free and reduced lunch and forms for districts
I'll
too.
tell you.
And I think there's legislation pertaining to that
There's
as
a
well.
bunch of nutrition legislation this
Nutrition
year,
legislation.
as well as that bill that would tie Medicaid enrollment to free and reduced lunch, so it would
Yeah.
eliminate the need to apply. I have a good feeling about that bill, and I would love for the legislators to sort of give us the background on where they think it's headed. I think it's wise legislation.
I think too that not all individuals understand the connection between why that's so important for school districts and how that involves funding for
Title I.
educator positions and
Yep.
otherwise. So I think that's important as well to disclose to the city council and legislators. Yep. Any other topics related to there?
Well, remember, we do have to be finished by a certain time
Right.
because
just because
most
we have items doesn't mean we have to talk about
yeah,
all
that's
of
true.
them.
But they still are having committee meetings on Friday, even though they're mostly Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Monday, Fridays aren't as busy. But
That's true.
they still they have a lot of bills,
Right.
a lot of bills.
That's what I'm curious about their priorities. I mean, right now it's like everything in the sink.
Yeah.
What are they?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's spaghetti
spaghetti
style.
on the wall, and so I
Mhm.
am curious to know what their priorities are, what their educational priorities are, if education is a priority for them this year, or if they're like, nope, this is the year we're gonna do, instead of,
Yeah.
I'd just like to know where we stand.
Yeah, Dave Luno and Mel Myler are both on the Education Committee in the House. And Dave and Mel have both, they're the prime sponsors of multiple education bills. They're like the best people to talk
They will
to.
probably be at the legislative breakfast as they
Yeah.
are a member
I
of
was
this
expecting that
area
they would be there,
delegation.
right?
Yeah, I did not check today with Bridget to see who's sent in, but we've had a good response so
That's
far.
awesome.
She sent out a note this
Great.
week and, tweaked a couple. And
I
then
can send out
she'll
some
send out
notes, too.
another one to remind everybody that,
Awesome.
we're waiting to hear from you so we can
Great.
have enough materials and breakfast.
Food, of course.
Coffee, right.
We do have upcoming legislation on here as well. Superintendent, was there any
Well,
bit there that you wanted to discuss?
no, I mean, Sarah just named him. We talked we talked Monday about the Medicaid bill and how important that is to us, and of course, that's really important for reimbursement. The lunches, they're free and reduced, and there's bills all around that. Obviously, the building aid is really important to us. There's a couple of bills that are troublesome to us, and that's some of the freedom accounts where expansion of those as it relates to taking public school funding. So we're watching all of those bills right now.
Is there anything else any committee members would like to add before this meeting concludes? Any other thoughts, ideas, ruminations?
I just came for the food, but there isn't any.
And
Just kidding. I mean, I
the
think
$920 stipend, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I have a list of orgs in the city that I'm interested in just sort of like reestablishing relationships with as a school board member. You could probably name them all along with me. I haven't looked at the list in a really long time, but we'll probably just bring it to this group next month and just say, hey, these are all key players that touch the lives of kiddos in our community. Do we have relationships with them already? And if we don't, we should establish them. Does that sound like a worthy pursuit?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
absolutely.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Well,
Well, it was really interesting this week. Maybe it was last week. I had as you know, I meet with Chief Osgood on a regular basis. We have a standing appointment so that we get to share things and concerns, and we talked about Riverbend, and the board of directors at Riverbend would like to have our high school principals serve on their board of directors.
That's great.
Very important, and I was thrilled when Brad brought it to my attention.
Yeah.
And I've already talked to, I asked Tim Herbert, the new principal.
I was going to say, would it be our current, or would it be the...
For Mike,
Okay.
it really won't get really going until the
Yeah,
fall anyway,
I
so I've asked Dr. Herbert if he would be willing to sit on that, and he absolutely, without hesitation,
That's
said,
so
you know,
exciting.
I'd love to do it, and so we'll connect there. But that's the kind of connections that we want to have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tim can share the concerns that we have around mental health and the services and the lack thereof, right, for some of our kids. And
Yeah.
so, perfect.
Yeah.
And Janine's doing the same thing. I was invited to be the graduation speaker at Project Search, which is up at the hospital, you know, where we have the youngsters up there working. And so we this week, Ian Fowler, our director for the career principal for career and technical, met with the chancellor over at NHTI. So those are important. I
Yeah.
would agree.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Superintendent Murphy, for ending the meeting on that note. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So that
Any
was Kara,
opposed?
and second was
Any
Sarah.
abstentions?
Okay.
Did we need to approve the agenda? Is that procedurally something we need to do at committee
Don't,
level?
we haven't
Okay.
usually done that.
committee.
It's
I'm
been
just
that
asking.
formal.
The meeting
We
is
do
now
do that in
closed.
the regular meeting,
Yes.
right? Our
Yes,
board
but I just
meeting.
wanted to make sure
No.
before we adjourn, do we need to? Okay.
Just so you know, I
No
try to
consent
meet with
calendars or anything.
Jonathan before the meeting and kind of put together a list of the agenda items. These aren't mine.
But if
These-
there are anything anyone would like, just
You know, I'll let you know.
let me know beforehand. And also, but
Yeah.
even if agenda's already
Did we set,
created, it's pretty
did we set
flexible.
another meeting for this group?